Welcome to Healing Through Dentistry podcast,
where we redefine health, wellness, and the power of your smile.
We're your hosts,
Hana
and Eva, twin sisters, qualified dentists and medical doctors.
This is more than a dental podcast.
It's a journey into profound connection between oral health and whole body healing.
Through personal stories, inspiring client transformations, and expert insights,
we explore how dentistry can ignite energy, relieve chronic pain, and transform lives.
Get ready to discover the extraordinary ways your smile can heal, inside and out.
Let's begin. Welcome to Healing Through Dentistry. We are on a go. We are sharing insights from Biohack Summit in Prague. Very first one. We're very grateful that we will have it every year and that it was a success and people love it. And it only was held in Prague yesterday. And what is our kind of take-home message is very pleasing for us because that's what we believe in also. It's the mind-body-soul connections. Of course, it was a Biohack Summit, so you saw a lot of, people who were advising you on neuroscience technologies. There was a neurovisor, there was nervous vagus pulsator, there was 3 different red light therapies. And as a matter of fact, there were speakers who were also, talking about this as well. But as well as about mind-body-soul connections, because everything is complex and each of the speaker, whether he or she was talking about general health or women health or about herbs, we were hearing a lot of ashwagandha. Everyone's going to be buying ashwagandha now, Ayurvedic herb. But not only they were talking about, health in terms of physical and nutrition, but also there were a lot of people talking about emotions and how it is important to balance our neural system. And I can't be agreeing more because we believe that that's the root of all the diseases and all, our stuff we're dealing with. So calming our nervous system and balancing it is very important. And monitoring it as well. And monitoring. So we missed the presentation about HRV, but we're very big fans of this because it's pointing out how much you can balance, because we all perceive things, differently. Yeah. But how much we can balance and get back to calm and relaxing mode. Yeah, but who actually I did hear and who touched on it as well is Dr. Ollie, a Finnish doctor who is one of the guys who wrote the Biohacker book. It's Demo Arena, was probably one of the biggest speakers in the conference. And also it was actually, once you touched on it, Eva, it was nice to hear through the data that if you want to monitor your data physiological stuff, and he's advising that because if you don't monitor, you don't know how your body works. It's like with everything else, it's like with business, if you don't have because the number doesn't mean anything, it's just very individual. So you have to monitor your numbers in order to say what's good for you. Yeah, but what I was trying to say, if you don't know the data, you don't know how the business goes, right? Because it's like guessing what's happening without having, facts on then taking an action. So I was actually very pleased that Ring, because there's always, this kind of rivalry in between, the producers of devices, what's better. And that's good that there is a rivalry because obviously that they keep improving. And I'm not promoting anything. I'm having Aura, and I know that there are others as well. But this Finnish doctor was actually saying that the data, they were doing research, and Aura was very, very good to track sleep and to track the HRV and track, what the heart beat, etc. So I was pleased. Yeah, but human and wolf is good too. So I have clients who have all 3 of them. So it's just they are real biohackers, but I love that also in biologic dentistry we see that we'll see what Dr. Dome he will come up with, but they're trying to track. It's more technically more difficult when you track when you have a surgery and you would like to have like instant data because this is like longer time. So what we see with the clients is that they really beautifully balance their nervous system only by removing that chronic inflammation, the cavitation of the tooth, and they're really getting into parasympathetic mode. And that's something we would like to measure in the surgery. So we will see. We will see. So,
yeah, but why did we started this discussion in the first place as emotions? Because that's something which dysregulate the nervous system, especially the suppressed ones, the ones we don't want to see, we don't want to hear almost, and the traumas. So that's what I love when not only Dorota is a lady who does a lot of workshops all over Europe. She's a German lady about inner work and inner child healing, because a lot of traumas we do have from our childhood, we mostly don't know about them. They're just suppressed. And so it is very important to start by exploring this and work on yourself, because you can biohack yourself as much as you want in terms of red lights, all plunges, supplements. But if your neural system's disbalanced because unconsciously there's something holding you back, you're never going to be, like really 100% optimized. I know that 100% optimization doesn't exist, but you're never going to be, as good as you would wish to be. And I was loving a discussion with four people, but we were talking with a couple of ladies. One of them was a psychologist, and one of them was actually a lawyer who became a coach, a health coach, based on her story as well, life story. And it was beautiful to see that both ladies just having their journeys and having their challenges like all of us, even in their, healing journeys, but also in a now educating roles. And what I love about our discussion was that both of us were saying how complex it is, and how, again, I like to use the saying that one road doesn't lead to the road. It's many roads which leads to one place. And they were considering not only soul, but also the mind, body, soul. So again, nutrition, again, sleep, again. I was just so impressed. I need to stop here because one of these ladies, she said on her aura, she constantly keeps having 98% on sleep, which is incredible for me. And I was asking her, of course, I was curious. I was like, so when do you go to bed? How do you do this? When do you get up? ADC? And she was sharing that she always, every day, gets up at 5:23, which is an amazing number, right? She doesn't need alarm. She just wakes up naturally. She goes to bed, and I said, well, so you must be like, how many hours do you sleep? You must be, in bed by 10 for sure. And she goes, and, even earlier, because I know in my case, how long does it take before the body chills and before you are really ready for sleep. So at least it's an hour and a half, couple of hours before. We should all be just really switching off all the computers, phones, exercises, maybe even like 3 hours before, and kind of chilling down and getting ready for a sleep. So she was sharing that she actually is sometimes in pajamas. She goes to bed at 8:30, even in summer, and she's in pajamas sometimes at 7 p.m. So,
Lara,
yeah, so that's how
you do it.
you do it. 98% of sleep score, which I've probably had maybe twice in my aura ring.
I also have lots of stories of clients who have very beautiful romantic relationships, beautiful big families, and they're very fulfilled in connection and love, and they have 99 too. So, I think this is like, it's the frequency. It's the frequency you have.
See, but also was sharing that she's, struggling a little bit with her HRV. And I said, well, maybe there's something unconscious you don't know, because like it's the indicator of how the nervous system is balanced. And so
Cavitations.
or cavitations in, our oral work, there's cavitations, root canals, and metals. But we didn't really talk about this. We were talking more about what I wanted to talk about earlier, about the emotions and about how unconscious stuff can influence us on a physical level as well. So we were talking about metaphysics, we were talking about new German medicine. For people who don't know the new German medicine term, it is an approach who was developed by Dr. Hammer, who was a German doctor. And I think in 80s, I'm just going to quickly tell his story, which I was sharing with this lady. And so his story is that he was a doctor, and what happened to him in his life is that at the age of, I think, 17, he lost his son, which was obviously a tragedy and big trauma, and whole family was very much affected. And he very soon after developed prostate cancer. And deep down, he knew, he was obviously like, first he was like, why did I develop the cancer? I eat well, I'm a doctor, you know. And so Dr. Hammer was a German doctor, had this tragedy in his life where he lost his son. He was only 70. And he started to think about, why did he develop prostate cancer? He said, well, I'm eating well, I exercise, but deep down he knew that it was something to do with this loss, with this tragedy in their family. Because he was a doctor who, I think he was a neurologist, not 100% sure, but he was having, scans of the brain. So he started to actually asking his clients, his patients, when he saw there was, tumors, cancers, he started to talk and ask about their stories, what happened to them in their lives. And very short after, he developed a pattern. And so he knew, for example, say on a sample, breast cancer. So most of the women are right-handed, and when they're nursing their child, they're holding the child on the left breast. So when something's happening with their child, if there's a tragedy, loss, or disease, or anything traumatic, these ladies developed left side, left breast cancer. The right breast was about partnerships, if there was issue there. So just to shorten it, New German medicine is about conflicts in your life and traumas. So Dr. Hammer found a pattern, and he, based on that, he developed a teachings called New German medicine. I do recommend to, read more about this. If you just Google or put in ChatGPT, New German medicine, you're gonna have information come up. And that's what we were talking about with these couple of ladies as well, that there's more than mind, body, but also soul. And so what I usually like to do for myself as well, to, get the financial details from New German medicine, metaphysics, also spiritual stuff.
Eva Rose is good as well, metaphysics.
Like Eva was saying when she was talking about this young gentleman about numerology. It can be numerology, astrology. And, I believe human design. We talk about human design and so on as well. But everything, every approach can actually help you to find out what's going on, or to, help you to bring into your consciousness some fact or some stuff you can help yourself with. So I like that you talked with Dorota as well about the inner work, right?
Yeah, so she will be holding some events in Bratislava or in Prague. So I always recommend to my clients also to just have a look on that kind of spectrum of modalities like emotions, therapies, so inner child or trauma. And it's fascinating what the data says is that the body is so smart that if you had a trauma when you were little, you may not remember it at all, and you might be coming up with that in order to heal with meditation. And Dr. Joe Dispenza work, you have lots of those transformational stories as well. It's about
Maybe
to calm down the nervous system and just heal that. But you don't even
maybe we
even
can
if
share
if
a
it's
story, right? So to give examples, I think the examples and stories are the best. Who we met through Dr. Joe Dispenza community on one of the retreats. And like just Eva said, you might not be even aware of some things happening in your life.
You
Because
mean
you
the
were too
story about the cavitations as well?
maybe, but I'd just like to just say that we met a young gentleman and he was just saying how troublesome he's had few years of his life because he couldn't suddenly eat anything. So he said, and it was just very, for me, heartbreaking if I knew that, he said his relationship was falling apart. He wasn't able to eat properly. Only thing he could eat was banana and rice. And so he started to dig deeper what's going on. Do you like to say
Yeah,
that?
he was looking for answers, so he was doing everything with microbiome. He was creating his own kimchi. But he was when we were talking about this nutrition and water and supplementation, then he went to the emotion spectrum of treatment. Also, he went down the hall of biological dentistry because he just got this information that the cavitation that could create also these kind of problems. So, and
Which is true.
yeah, which is true. And he actually was helped by a modality called ketamine and Dr. Joe Dispenza work. So I think that Dr. Joe Dispenza work was first, but he went to a doctor who performed his cavitations, which is the inflammation after the wisdom teeth are removed, and they're creating lots of nerve system dysregularities, and you're basically all the time in sympathetic mode. So in fight and flight mode, you don't even know. So in his sense, that it was that he couldn't eat. And in his surgery, he was using ketamine, and he had a view of a trauma when he was 4 years old, and he really didn't remember. So it was in a garden. He didn't tell me detail, but it was some abuse, and he had stored trauma in his body. So with the work of Joe Dispenza, he was releasing a lot with the meditation. But also, you have to let it go. So he went to the park and he just screamed, and the community of the Joe Dispenza is like, good, and they help him, more and more. And you just like kind of you're letting you're letting go of, you don't even know it was in there. And so he's on his journey of recovering. Yeah. So you always start with nutrition, supplementation, but then there's no way that you have to skip this emotional part, because that's where the trauma is stored and melted.
Okay, so that's for emotions. And
To inspire you to do more work.
And we get reminded as well, right, about because we love to do this kind of work. Sometimes it hurts.
It does. It's not comfortable.
Sometimes
you do it anyway.
Sometimes it's more. Exactly. When it hurts, it's exactly you're on the right track, because it means that you need to go and dig deeper in that kind of sensation or in the emotion or circumstance. So we love hearing stories of others also because of ourselves, because we are reminded that we need to constantly work on ourselves. It's like I like that when they say it's like an onion. There's so many layers. And even the lady who was a speaker on the Biohacker Summit in Prague, she is, teaching it, but she is working on herself as well. So it's an evolution. Okay, so thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on Healing Through Dentistry podcast. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to see your smile as the gateway to whole body well-being.
To stay connected, visit us on our website or follow us on social media.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit.
Until next time, remember, healing starts with a smile.
Take care,
and we will see you in the next episode.